Well, thank you for joining us as we look at God's Word. And I want you to know I'm not a foot washing Baptist. But here Jesus says, if I wash feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. And so this non-foot washing Baptist believes that he's talking about servanthood as opposed to actually having a ceremony where everybody takes their socks off and washes each other's feet. But having said that, if you're in a church that washes feet, you're sure not going against God's Word. You're following this particular thing literally, and I sure don't have any argument with you. But I'm not going to do it. Okay, I have done it a couple of times as a demonstration of servanthood, because I believe that's what he's talking about. So anyway, John 13, verses 12 through 17. When he had washed their feet and taken his garments and reclined at the table again, he said to them, "Do you know what I've done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right, for so I am. If I then, the Lord and the teacher, wash your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example that you should do as I did to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a slave's not greater than his master, nor is one who is sent greater than the one who sent him." In other words, here I am washing feet, and I'm the last person here that ought to be doing it. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them. Notice he didn't say part of earning your way into heaven is to wash feet or anything like that. He had already said, you are bathed because of your believing in me. But he says, if you do these things, you're blessed. You're blessed if you do them. And so the Christian who lives a special blessed life is the Christian who learns servanthood. The Christian who doesn't have to be in charge. The Christian who doesn't have to have his way. The Christian who esteems other people more than he does himself, as it says in Philippians chapter 2. Esteem others better than yourself. Jesus said in Matthew 18, whoever humbles himself like a little child the most is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And so it's this servanthood thing. And understand, this is the night before he's crucified. He's saying, here's the way that believers ought to be treating one another. You're more important than I am. I'm here as your servant. When I do premarital counseling, I use Galatians 5:13 for the couple, emphasizing that that's the most important verse that they ought to follow in their relationship to each other. By love, serve one another. That's the last half of that verse. You love one another. To prove your love for one another, you make yourself each other's servant. So the husband is supposed to be doing what, according to Ephesians chapter 5? Sacrificing for his wife. Love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And what's the wife supposed to be doing? Submitting to the husband. So she submits to him because she loves him. He sacrifices for her because he loves her. Now, if you've got him sacrificing for her and her submitting to him, you got yourself a pretty good marriage. Now put that in the church. If you have a bunch of people in the church going, what can I do to be a blessing to somebody today? Oh, I don't have to be in charge. Oh, I don't have to have my way. Just earlier today, somebody was thinking that something ought to be done a certain way, and his idea was rejected. And he was angry for a little while, but then it's like, well, I can't let something like that control me. We need to be working together and moving in the same direction and getting things done instead of having to have our own way. That's the attitude that Jesus is talking about there. And when individuals adopt that kind of an attitude, it's great in a family and it's great in a church. And it's a great witness to the rest of the world. Have a great day.